Hello, it's me, Minecraft World. So, today, I bring you something that I've wanted to do for a while. It's called One Deadly Episode. I've already uploaded a video explaining this, so here is the official video of my One Deadly Episode. Now, if you don't know what this is, I will have a card to the explanation of it in the corner in the description, as well as a link and a card on the end screen. So yeah, but my One Deadly Episode is one that I've loved for a long time. Let me give you some backstory. So, here I was, a young Minecraft World. The date was August 17th, 2014. The Godzilla 2014 movie had already released by that point, and I was an up-and-coming Godzilla fan. So, I believe I was in the 3rd grade, 4th grade roughly, and I had already seen my first ever Godzilla movie. I remember the first one I watched was the '98 film, the Zilla film, but the first proper one that I watched was 1962's Godzilla vs. Mothra, or Mothra vs. Godzilla, or Godzilla vs. the Thing, whatever you want to call it. And I fell in love with the character almost immediately. And to this day, Godzilla is my favorite fictional character of all time. Because of his general badassery, his own story, his everything. And while I was watching some Godzilla reviews and some... oh god, this is gonna make me feel really old. Oh, jeez. Monster Island Buddies. Oh god, that makes me feel real old. But I was watching some of that, some Godzilla YouTubers, etc. when I happened upon this video. Death Battle. Godzilla... hey, it's Godzilla versus... Gamera, what? Gamera? At the time, I wasn't familiar with Gamera. I wasn't familiar with many kaiju from outside of the Godzilla realm. I knew of King Kong, but that's only because I'd already seen King Kong vs. Godzilla 1962, like, the previous day, if I remember correctly. So, I was interested to hear about this Gamera character. So I watched the video. They did the usual introduction, and I was interested already. So, the analysis. The analysis for both characters is excellent, even to this day. Whilst Godzilla is a bit outdated in some parts, since they included the Monsterverse, I still quite enjoyed it. And I'd imagine nowadays, if this episode were to be redone, I'd imagine they'd actually exclude the Monsterverse for a remake of this episode. But it wasn't Godzilla's analysis that actually got me hooked into the episode. No, it was actually Gamera's analysis. Like I said, at the time, I was mostly unaware of any other kaiju films outside. Like I said, I was aware of King Kong at the time, and I knew what he was, but I wasn't interested in him. But it was Gamera that really got me into the kaiju genre. And I know that's stupid because Godzilla is my favorite fictional character, and I'm a huge fan of the character, but Gamera's analysis, his story, everything about it, just brought me into it. Just brought me into the character. And I was hooked almost immediately. I was hooked immediately. Whilst watching the episode, the last thing that I expected was for them to make a fight for it. And then the fight happened, and I will take you through a scene-by-scene breakdown of this fight. So, the fight begins with a panning shot over the city. Some storm clouds move in, setting up the atmosphere for the fight, and it showcases the city. We see cars moving about, people doing their everyday lives, before we look out in the ocean and Godzilla's spikes show up, rising out. We get a black screen before Godzilla rises out and roars into the sky. He makes his way over as tanks come up in order to hold him off, but it's no use as Godzilla steps on and destroys them. Godzilla goes about rampaging the city, destroying a building and asserting his dominance. But out of nowhere, we see Gamera's shell fly through and land. Gamera lands on the ground, looks up, and roars, challenging Godzilla. And Godzilla, he challenges back. Fight! Gamera immediately panics, grabs a building as Godzilla charges at him, roaring in anger. Gamera throws the building at Godzilla, but Godzilla barrels through it. And Gamera, in another desperate attempt, uses his fireball in order to halt Godzilla. But Godzilla gets in close and slaps Gamera. Gamera slaps back, and the two fight at each other. Then Gamera backs up, and Godzilla tries to bite him and throws him into a building, slams him, shatters the building before throwing him over his head and destroying another one. Godzilla backs away, charges up, and fires, blowing Gamera into flames and destroying the surrounding area, roaring in a presumed victory. But then Gamera, not to be outdone, recharges, consumes the fire, and blasts Godzilla with 3 superheated fireballs to the face. Godzilla stands up and has had enough. He slams his tail to the ground and does his dropkick from Godzilla vs. Megalon. He lands on Gamera, pins him down, and roars in a victory. He attempts to step on it, but Gamera retracts his head. Godzilla looks confused before Gamera starts flying around and spinning. Godzilla watches as Gamera flies around, confused, and Gamera slats him onto the back, and Godzilla's had it. He roars in frustration and attempts to shoot Gamera with the atomic breath, missing both times. Gamera is just too fast, and then he catches and grabs Gamera. Gamera backs up and he tries again, but switches. Gamera grabs him and starts pushing him into the sky. Godzilla roars in question and confusion. Gamera roars in response, and Godzilla tries to use the atomic breath. But, well, I actually don't know what he's doing. Gamera takes the fight into orbit, and Godzilla, severely confused, gets interested. Gamera spins around the back and grabs Godzilla grabs him, and begins his atmospheric re-entry. Godzilla looks confused again, but yeah, they crash onto the Earth, re-entering the atmosphere with extreme speed. The storm is now surging as Godzilla as lightning hits Godzilla's back, corresponding to what they said about him acting like a lightning rod. He lets out an EMP, which detaches Gamera and sends him flying into the sea, both figuratively and literally. Godzilla, still falling through the sky, attempts to use his atomic breath to slow his descent, but he's too fast, so he can't really do anything. He crashes into the sea, and we get a small hole. Then the two kaiju rise up and get close with each other, pushing at one another. They let go, and then Gamera slaps him. Godzilla comes in close and bites Gamera's arm off. Gamera shrieks in pain as he's bleeding. Godzilla chucks the arm into the sea and roars annoyingly. Gamera then prepares his ultimate mana attack, roaring into the sky, calling the mana of the earth as Godzilla attempts to fire back with his atomic breath. But the mana charge overwhelms Godzilla, crashing onto him. Also, a bridge collapses, so yeah. Godzilla roars loudly, and Gamera stops. We see Gamera bleeding, tired. He takes a breath, but behind him, a black shadow arises. Godzilla will not be taken down so easily. His spikes sparkle red as he roars in anger, having had enough with Gamera. Gamera looks behind. Godzilla grabs him by the shell as he retracts and repairs an ultimate self-destruct, knowing he's not able to respond to this. Godzilla charges the spiral ray and blasts it right through Gamera's chest. Gamera roars before exploding into pieces, and Godzilla roars in victory. Now, yes, the animation is a bit clunky, the models look a bit weird, and it's a bit janky, but today even, I still think it holds up, because it's just important to me. Now, this was the first ever death battle I saw, and this is still my favorite. Even at the time, I was impressed. I was so impressed. I rewatched the fight 3 times again in order to recapture that, because that was incredible, and it still is incredible. Then the conclusion happened, and it was good. It actually stuck to me. I was even surprised to learn that Godzilla actually fought Thor. So, yeah. So, frankly, that is Godzilla vs. Gamera. It's one of the earlier episodes, as this was the first half of Season 2, and it's arguably the best, in my opinion. I don't see many people talking about this one. I see many people talking about Marvel and DC on Death Battle, Dragon Ball, anime, etc., etc., and I'm fine with that. But this episode, in my opinion, has always been my favorite. There's only been one other Godzilla-based episode of Death Battle, and that was Kiryu vs. Dragon Ball, which it takes 5th place for my favorite Death Battles. Not that I hate it. Kiryu is my favorite iteration of Mechagodzilla, and I actually quite like the Dragon Zord. But Godzilla vs. Gamera is a Death Battle that is more close to me. Comparison to that. I wasn't aware of Kiryu until, I believe, 2 years after this episode happened. After I watched Godzilla against Mechagodzilla. And it's really good. Kiryu, again, is my favorite iteration of the character, but This episode is superior because not only is Godzilla a close character to me, not only is he my favorite character of fiction and one of the most influential characters in my life, but Gamera is also awesome. Gamera is one of the greater kaiju, comparable to King Kong in a way, and I would love to see an official film. And it was this episode that introduced me to Death Battle, which is also one of the most influential shows in my life. And I'm glad to be celebrating 10 years. Even though I wasn't there for all of it, I was there for most of it. I can confidently say that. I was there for most of it. Since August 17th, 2014, I have been a strong viewer and a strong supporter of Death Battle. And I hope we get to see Godzilla and Gamera, either the series or the characters, return to Death Battle. Destroyer vs. Iris is one of the ones that I would love to see, and it's because of this matchup, this episode, that made me want that episode so bad. So that is why Godzilla vs. Gamera is my one deadly episode. Thank you for watching.